I just got back from seeing the most anticipated Marvel movie of the week, Thor 5.
It's 4.
It's 4. Chris Hemsworth is back as Thor, and Natalie Portman is back as Thor, and Christian Bale plays Gore, and Taika Waititi plays Korg. Any more oars or orgs out there? Oh, the boat doesn't have oars, but it does have giant flying goats. And yes, they do scream really loud every single time the boat flies. We start off and the Guardians are there, and Thor is small now, and Korg basically narrates what happened for all the other Thor movies. So if you weren't caught up, you will be after you listen to Korg for about 2 minutes. And it's funny because it's Taika Waititi's voice and he has a silly voice. And then we realize there's this dude who was betrayed by the gods. He is like, oh, them gods, they're pretty bad. They don't fulfill their promises. So he goes on a god killing spree, and Thor's like, wait, you can't do this, that's not cool. And so the god killer guy, he comes to Asgard, and at Asgard, he takes all the children and puts them in a giant spider cage. And the giant spider cage then goes into a special dimension called the Shadow Dimension, where it's very dark and everything's in black and white. We go on this whole adventure. Basically, Thor is trying to build an army so that he can go fight the god killer, because he's like really worried about this, right? And they have all the kids, and they make a funny joke in there that's actually a good joke. While in Asgard, we find out that Jane Foster, Dr. Jane Foster, has cancer, and she is going to die almost definitely. She becomes Thor because being Thor heals her from having cancer, but actually it prevents her from ever healing from having cancer. So, you know, double-edged sword there. Now we're on this epic journey. We get in our space boat led by 2 really loud goats, and we fly through space. And we go to the giant rock where the kids are being held. Oh, but it's a trap. Who could have foreseen this? And then they have a big space fight, which is different from all the other Marvel space fights. Once we're done with our space fight, Christian Bale's like, wait, save my daughter. I'm a bad guy. And then Thor takes on his daughter as his own, and then they live happily ever after. So we've added one more member of the Young Avengers, which will be in the next phase of Marvel. So good job, guys. The Necro Swords in this movie, they don't really say much about it other than that it can kill gods, but in the comics, it's pretty cool. So Christian Bale delivers a good performance, but he's like very underused for some reason. Like, they got this great actor who's like at the top of his game, and they barely use him. He's not in the movie very much, and when he is, he's like, it's Christian Bale. I mean, that character could have been played by anyone, and I don't think it would have been much different. Have you ever wondered how many Guns N' Roses songs can be stuffed into one movie? The answer is 3, and Taika Waititi helped us figure that out. Apparently, all the locations in this movie are giant ovals, which is really convenient because that's the shape of the volume, which is Disney's big giant video wall. I haven't seen so much CGI crap just spewed across the screen since I saw Minions: The Rise of Gru. And that was a fully animated film. Also, about the CGI, they had all these just crazy, amazing battle sequences that looked about half rendered. So if they could just take a few minutes to run that through the rendering machine just a little more, I think the movie would look a lot better. This movie has a lot of jokes, perhaps a few too many jokes. About every line, there's a joke. A lot of them just, they don't land. They don't land a little bit. I'm not quite sure this movie had a script to begin with, but they did find a way to cut 3 hours of footage down to, well, it wasn't 3 hours of footage, it was probably like 1 million, but then they cut it down to an hour and 50-minute film, which is very digestible, but you can tell that there's just things missing sometimes. So this review, I know it's not very coherent, but I give this movie a 6 out of 10. It's pretty solid, and I'm gonna go take a nap now, because I'm very tired.